Hello everyone, this is Joseph Propati and I'm bringing to you today a new video of a game that I've created for the 9-card contest that's going on right now on BGG or Board Game Geek website. The game is called 9-Card Ultima, and it is kind of a play on the original Ultima 1 that was created by Richard Garrett way back in the 80s. And as a big fan of that game, I thought, hey, is it possible to create a 9-card version of this game, a solitary game at that, and make it so the management of it wouldn't be just so overburdening, it wouldn't be any fun. So I think I've pulled it off. I've created 9-Card Ultima and made it epic in the sense that it has 3 main quests, and you could travel over land and in dungeons and over sea and fight monsters and find treasures and armor and weapons. It's just, there's so much you can do. You have wizards that can cast spells. So it truly gives you that feel of Ultima 1 in a small, tiny package of 9 cards and 24 components. So that's what the contest is requiring. 9-card game, 24 max components, which, you know, dice and meeple and cubes and all these different things. You can find all that information out on Board Game Geek, which I highly recommend you go check, because there's a bunch of games in this contest that are amazing that you can print and play and test out right now. And that's the part we're going into right now. We're doing these play testing. So with 9-Card Ultima, this game, it is that true epic feeling where you as an adventurer are on this massive quest given to you by the king, and you are to find 3 signposts that get you gems. You bring them to the king. The king will decipher those gems to give you the location of the dungeon entrances, and then when you get into the dungeons, you'll travel down levels of the dungeon, get to the big boss, defeat the big boss, and get a big treasure, and then on to the next. You'll be getting information to help you get to the next quest. So this game, similar to Ultima 1, you will visit the king. He will give you information about quests, and he will also bless you and help heal you. But the victory conditions themselves are, you win the game once you complete all 3 quests. And these quests are given to you by starting with the blue quest from the king. And it is a signpost that you will find. And then once you get through the blue quest, you'll go to the green quest and then the red quest. Now, each quest is harder because the blue quest you can get over land. The green quest you have to buy a ship because it's surrounded by water. And then the red quest you have to find, once you complete the green quest, it will give you the hot air balloon location, and then you can find that. And that will get you over the mountains to get to the dungeon of the red quest. To win the game, you have to complete all 3 of those quests and then go back, speak with the king, and he will officially grant you your riches and fame and glory, and you will have won the game. Now, this is a solitary roll and write, so all the information you have, you'll be marking on the cards with a dry erase pen. So I highly recommend that when you print this out, and the files are freely available on Board Game Geek. You can just search for 9-Card Ultima. It's just a single sheet, double-sided, that has the cards on it. The rules and the reference sheet you can find there also. Sleeve them, and then you can write directly right on the sleeves. It works great. You can erase right off. So here's the components. You have your rules, reference sheet. You'll have 2 10-sided dice. These are be used to hit and different aspects of the game. You have these mini meeples. Blue is your character that we use to travel over land. And then you have the green and the red, which are the monster that represent monsters when they attack you on land. These are your damage dice that you'll use for when you're rolling damage or the monster's rolling damage. Then you also have your blue dice to mark when you're going down in the dungeons. This will help you for certain discoveries or when you're passing certain actions. And then you have your cubes, which are yellow for the horse when you buy a horse, and red for a ship when you buy a ship. And then this white one is when you're going down into the dungeons and you'll move around dungeons. This is for moving on land. This one is for in the dungeons. You have your cards. This is your character card. Wizard on one side, fighter on the other. And later I'll go into deep on these. This is your status card. Covers your experience in gold and all your quests. You have your castle and town, which when you get to those, you can come in here and you can buy. You have all these shops you can buy from. Again, I will go into these deeper later. Here's king. You can visit the king. And then whenever you're fighting on land monsters or in the dungeon, you can mark down their hit points. And then these will represent where they are. And as you're battling, you can mark that off. So then we have our land cards. Now, just like in Ultima 1, we have our specific land types, which are forests, plains, mountains. And there's a town. There's a signpost. The little red box is where monsters will spawn. You'll notice a number, 1 through 6, that's in the top corner. That helps you reference when you're leaving a card or you're placing a card. And then you'll have these C terrains where you'll see a letter, right? C, A, B, and C. Well, these are used for when you have the ship. So if you had a ship move to here, you can travel to another land card and go to this C. Or if you were on an A, then you can come over here, move to this A. So it allows you to go out into sea and then come back into shore and go to another location. So you have your castle, all right? And then your dungeons will be in the mountains. And again, we have three signposts, blue, green, and red. And then we have our dungeons, blue, and then green, and then we have red. And again, you'll see that green are always surrounded by water, so you're going to need a ship to get those, and the red will be surrounded by mountains, which you'll need the hot air balloon. Now we go to the other side, and we have our dungeons. Now the gray ones are your normal dungeon levels, so as you go down in the dungeons, you'll be going through these. All right, and you have a little spot, that's for the blue die to mark down your levels. Just to give a quick, well, first, here's your big bosses. The blue big boss is the Minotaur, Beholder for the green, and then your Balron for the red, which a lot of treasure when you get to those. Now let me just give you a little bit about the cards. You know, when you get down in the dungeons, you have your up and down ladders, treasures. These are marked where you're going to find monster encounters. This is a pit trap, doors that you have to get through, and then your down ladder. So as you go down, then you'll come into another dungeon, start at the up ladder, and then make your way back down to here to go next. And these are the dungeon cards. And again, to win the game, you have to go through all 3 quests, complete and defeat all the big bosses for each quest, and once you get past that final red dungeon and you just defeat the Balron, you head back up through land, get to the king, and you win the game. So as you're going up and down levels, each level resets, so you still have to deal with monsters as you go back and forth. But those are your components for the game 9-Card Ultima. And on the next section of the video, I will talk about rules and a little bit more detail about the cards and the way it's played. So, on to the next. Okay, this is Joe Patty again, and on this video I'm going to cover the setup for my game 9-Card Ultima. So if you printed out the game, you have your 9 cards, and you have your 24 components. You probably printed out the rules and your reference sheet, so we can set those aside. Now, the setup for 9-Card Ultima, first, what you want to do is you want to decide what character you're going to play. Will you play a fighter or will you play a wizard? Now, if you're going to play the fighter, you're going to mark down a 1 for level 1. You're going to give yourself 20 food, and then your hit points are going to start out at 150. And then you start with a robe and a dagger. Now, the fighter can up both of those. They can increase in their armor and in their weapons. And then these special items you can find through either going through the whirlpool, defeating the Kraken, or, you know, big bosses down at the bottom levels of the dungeon. Now these P and D here is there's certain monsters in the dungeons that can either poison you or cause disease. So if they get a certain type of hit, a really high hit, you'll mark off, let's say it's a giant spider, he poisons you, every turn you're going to lose a point of health. But food, there's two things that can heal that. You can either visit the king and he'll bless you and cure that, or for 10 food, you can cure that poison. So food, again, is your restoration for health. So 1 food will heal 1 hit point. But to cure a poison or disease, you need 10 food in 1 shot. So this is your character card. Again, you have the same for keys, rope, and spike, and food. Same as the wizard. Same with hit point, level. But the wizard will start with, again, 20 food, level 1, 150, and then they have a different amount of gold, which I'll show you in the status card. But what's different about the wizard is they have spells. Because wizard will start with a dagger and a rope, but he can't upgrade anything. He has to rely on a spell. So you'll start out with a certain number of spells, and then you'll have to go to the magic shop to purchase more. But that's what you need to decide. So if we start with the fighter, we will go level 1, 20, 150 hit points, a robe, and a dagger. So we have that. Now we want to talk about our status card. So this status card keeps track of you as you're playing the game. Keeps track of your quests, where you're at, what items you have, experience and gold. So you have, if you purchase a horse, which you can buy 1 horse, when you found the hot air balloon, you can mark that off, or the number of ships you buy, because you can buy more than 1. Your experience points, that's what will tell you when to increase in levels. Again, you can go to level 10. Gold, marked down here, and then these 3 boxes are, and I'll show you the setup, but this is when you enter a dungeon, you'll mark down what land cards you have laid out, and then when you exit the dungeon, you can just place those back on and continue your way. Now the victory conditions, this is going to keep track of the 3 quests and where you're at. Again, a quest, you have to start with a sign, find the gem, bring it back to the king. The king, well, you'll mark off once you meet the king. He deciphers it, tells you where the dungeon entrance is. Once you get down to the bottom of the dungeon and defeat the big boss, then you'll mark it off. You've completed that quest. Then you go to the next quest. Again, once you've completed all 3 quests and go back to the king, you've won the game. So we will mark down, for a fighter, you only have 49 gold. But if you have a wizard, you start out with 200 gold because you got to be able to buy more spells. So we've got this. We want to lay out our dice. So we have these. Put these over here. Put out our cubes. You can just pile those here. Now, what we want next is our castle town card. So right now, the first thing you're going to be going into is the castle. But we want this up because this, you want to leave your little mini meeple on. So they're ready for whenever you're attacked. You can just pull it off and mark down what their health is. And that's what you'll be keeping track of it. So we want to leave that out so it's available. And then grab your land cards and get the one that has the castle on it. Place it right there. Okay? Take your blue meeple, put it right on the castle, and you take these other ones and just shuffle them. Right? And then flip them over. And you're going to have a discard pile and a draw pile. Okay? So, oops, sorry. So you're going to draw a card, a land card, and you want to place it on top of this first card, but only in this 3x3 grid. So it will overlap just like that. Then you're going to take the next one, same thing. You're going to put it over this 3x3 corner grid on the lower right. And this is your normal setup whenever you're traveling on land. You'll always have 3 land cards stacked on top of each other. And you will be able to move throughout these 3 land cards. So as you're moving, to regenerate new cards, you need to move down and get to this 3rd card. Just do not cover this 3x3 grid. Because what's going to happen is, you can move back and forth. You can experience everything you can in here, but once you're ready to regenerate cards, you have to get to this 3rd card. So you will take these, slide this up here, put these on the discard, then just draw the top card, and the next one. And then you are ready to travel again. Now you will continue to do this as you get down to here. You draw these, you just place them on here, right? Draw a new one. Just flip these over. And that process continues unless you decide that you want to get a randomization. And at any time, you can take the cards, right, before you draw them, and just shuffle them, right? Give yourself a different range of cards, because sometimes you might have cards that overlap that you want to get to, so just do a random shuffle, and then just place them out. And that's completely up to you. Whenever you feel like you want to get a different range of cards, but you have to get down to this bottom card to remove these and slide up and place new cards. If you ever get stuck, it's rare, but if you do get stuck, I think I've created the cards where you don't, but if you get stuck on something like this and you can't get to the third card, well then you just take these two cards, slide these up, and then draw new cards. So you'll never get stuck in the game where you can't continue, you can just regenerate cards. So that is going to be your initial setup. So we would have something similar to this. We'd have our 3 cards, right? But we want to do it as it should be. It should be the castle, and then just like this. And then your draw pile. And that is going to be your setup for the game. This is where you start, and again, you will mark off all your tracking of information on your card, directly on the cards, and then when you're moving. So here's your initial setup. The next video I'll go through the rules of the game, but and the cards and how they work in the game. But this is your setup.